Oh look, a health and safety screen. This must mean we're playing a late GameCube era game. This should look pretty familiar to you. The piano sounds a little different in that one, though. Welcome to Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I enjoyed Colosseum so much, I wanted to launch into its sequel right away. So yes, this is, like I said, a direct sequel to Pokemon Colosseum. I feel like that game's story mode, the developers didn't expect it to be as popular as it was. Because of that, they ended up making a sequel that focused almost entirely on the story mode. To put that in perspective, the battle mode is pretty much an afterthought. I'll just show it quickly here. All there is a quick battle mode and a multiplayer mode. That's all. This game in general is, in some ways, a lot more of a complete story mode experience than Colosseum was. It's also a lot more accessible, with a difficulty curve that's much more gradual and more similar to the main games. It's also similar to the main games more in terms of tone, being less darker and edgier than Colosseum was. Whether or not that's a good thing is up to you. Like Colosseum, I'm going to let the little preview movie play because it's actually kind of interesting. The sea and the sky. Two people stare out at it. One annoying, one not as cool as Wes. A laboratory with a Pokeball that looks like a sliced up apple. Krane. Determination. A creepy old manor. More annoying people. New towns. New locations that we won't be to for a very long time. New Pokemon, surprisingly. That is nowhere near as cool as Wes's bike. But some old places too, including Mount Battle, the Cipher Lab. That's new. Munchlax, that's new too. Mount Battle again. Riding on hooks. And Railgun Tower's back. But we also have some new foes to contend with, and some old ones too. Ones that are pretty ineffectual. A new snag machine. And we have an Eevee. Eevee can bite things. Jolteon can thunder things. Flareon can fire things and be kind of useless. Vaporeon can water things. Pikachu can do barely anything to Umbreon. Glacie... Snorlax can self-destruct. Yeah, for some reason. Wild Pokemon exist now. And can be caught. And everyone was waiting for that. Yep, he's back. That is Frenzy Plant. Blast Burn, Hydro Cannon, new Shadow Pokemon, new malicious Shadow moves, text appearing all over the video for some reason, Shadow Legendaries with ultimate Shadow moves, and the game's namesake, XG001 Shadow Lugia, and an island with lava. And a mysterious dome structure, where this Shadow Lugia appears. Hope you enjoyed that brief, literal trailer of this game. Now let's get right to it. I should mention, just like Colosseum, story mode files take up a huge amount of space on the memory card. Unlike Colosseum, though, they didn't have the courtesy of packaging the game with a memory card, so you'll probably have to free up a lot of space in order to have a file for this game. I actually had to delete my old XD file in order to make the one that I'm going to be using now. So, this is our protagonist. He is, like I said, nowhere near as cool as Wes, but that comparison is a little unfair. His canon name is Michael, but for some reason that name didn't really just grab me. I don't really like either of these two names either. But I had an idea just before I wanted to record this. I want to go ahead and use one of the default names from Colosseum that I thought was awesome, but I didn't use back then. We'll see if this name works for him, but for now, he shall be known as... He even has the requisite red hair. And so, his adventure shall begin. But first, we draw your attention to the SS Effeminate Priest / Final Fantasy scanning skill, where everything seems fine. Then everything changed when the helicopters attacked. And then an ominous shadow. Well, that can't be good. This helicopter seemed to be controlling it somehow. And apparently Lugia now has the ability to use tractor beams, taking an entire ship. And so the ship is essentially ship-napped. Meanwhile, these two are like, they're never gonna believe us. Meanwhile, though, we join a battle already in progress, where our hero is using a Salamence against a Metagross. So, this battle right here can actually be a little tricky if you don't know your type matchups. If you don't know that Earthquake is super effective against the Metagross, you can quite easily lose this fight. But if you do know, it shouldn't take any longer than 2 turns. Or 1 if you get a critical. The Metagross will likely just try and Sludge Bomb you. So with that, we win. My name is Lawson and I just lived up to it! But it was all a simulation. Yeah, they wouldn't give us a Salamence right from the beginning. You know, at least they didn't just throw us into a battle with a level 100 Rayquaza with a level 1 Magikarp with only Splash to try and teach us about accepting unwinnable situations, and we'd have to hack to get past it, but anyway. So we only have our Eevee, but it's probably time we consider raising other Pokemon. So let's go ahead and check out that Eevee. Here it is. Lax Nature's alright, and it's been attained from the protagonist's dad. So I'll just be showing Eevee's bio quickly. While Colosseum starts you with 2 of its evolutions, in XD you begin with its base form, Eevee, the Pokemon of infinite possibilities. For this point in the game, Eevee has fairly average stats all round, with slightly lower special attack and slightly higher special defense. However, Eevee's raw stats and ability don't matter all that much, because let's just say that, unless you're specifically doing a Mikey playthrough, this Eevee won't stay an Eevee for long. That being said though, there are a few things that I want to draw attention to. Firstly, on Eevee's starting moveset, it has Bite. This is a move that Eevee wouldn't normally learn until level 30, so it helps having it right off the bat. Now in this generation it's a special move, so it won't help Eevee itself very much, but a few of its evolutions really appreciate Bite, especially early on. The downside of this Eevee starting with Bite though, is it means this Eevee misses out on one of its starting moves, Helping Hand, which is an excellent move for double battles, and it's a shame you don't start with it. However, unlike Colosseum, XD does have a move relearner, and they're available quite early in the game. Helping Hand is a level 1 move for all of Eevee's evolutions, not just Eevee itself, so I would highly recommend going out of your way to learn it from the move relearner when you get the chance, because it really helps in a game that's mostly double battles. Other than that, there's really only one move Eevee learns that its evolutions don't, and that's Baton Pass at level 36. However, I don't consider this to be all that worth it, because in single player you might as well just use X items. Also note that unlike the starters from Colosseum, this Eevee can be female if you're lucky enough. With that, I just want to briefly draw your attention to the fact that we don't have any items at all, and something new. Unlike in Colosseum, you can save anywhere, just like in the handheld games. This is a very, very good new addition. So for now, let's just talk to the people in here. So that was a battle sim we were doing. I'll go back and talk to him later, because we can actually do something there. Firstly though, and so we have an implied deceased or at least missing father. But if we talk to this lady here, she seems to be training for the trainer schools in many regions. So if you go to the whiteboard here, you can see some basic tutorials. This is something that XD has over Colosseum. Colosseum pretty much threw you in, assuming you were already familiar with the whole Pokemon series. XD, though, is far more accessible to newer players, having a lot of more basic tutorials. But the other good thing is, they're completely optional. But, speaking of tutorials, you can actually go back and talk to this guy again if you want to. And you can do another simulator battle. Unlike the things on the whiteboard, these aren't just pure text, these are actual simulated battles. And they teach you more advanced tutorials, basically. Things like single battle combos, double battle combos, stat changing moves, tactics that rely on abilities. This is where you go for more advanced info. Now, I'm not going to show all of these, obviously, but there is one that I want to show, healing status problems. For one very specific reason. Let's begin. Now, we'll be seeing this screen a lot for a side quest later on, but for now, this will be our first introduction to it. This is just how sim battles work, and Sim Trainer Jodlet will be our opponent for every single one of these. I think when I first played this, I actually played all of these, just because I don't know, I like to be a bit of an obsessive completionist sometimes. You don't get anything from completing all these, by the way. So, we'll notice that he is sending out a Paris that's already burned. And we have a burned Magikarp. Yeah. You might notice something though, you'll be seeing a lot more Kanto Pokemon in XD, because at this point in the series, Fire Red and Leaf Green had been released. So what this Battle CD or Battle Sim wants to teach you is that you can use different items to cure different status. So for example, for Burn, we use a Burn Heal. But there's one very specific reason why I wanted to show this. So this Paris will cycle through status moves, though sometimes if it misses, it throws off its AI routine a little bit. For now, I'll just go for Splash. I'm actually faster than it. Poison Powder. That one actually did hit. You might notice as well, move animations are a bit more elaborate than they were in Colosseum. They've redone a lot of them, and they look really cool, at least in my opinion. By the way, the only way you can win this is to wait for the Paris to faint from burn, so that takes a while. I won't be showing this whole thing, but what I will be showing though is, hopefully, the Paris will do it. Hack alert! Hack alert! Hack alert! So, I might give it another opportunity to use it, if it decides to. But Paris cannot legitimately learn Sleep Powder. Yeah, in one of the tutorials, they have a Pokemon with an illegal move. Nice job, game. That's all I wanted to show here, so I'll just cut to the end of the battle. Oh yeah, this is how Sleep Powder looks if it actually hits. I don't see why they just didn't give this Paris Spore, though. And so when Paris faints, that's the end of this battle. Oh no, I've been exposed to the dirty hacker! After the battle, this guy will give you a brief summary of the lesson you should have learned there. Though the real lesson is don't hack moves, especially not ones that are inferior to a move that you learn legitimately. But anyway, that's all I wanted to show. So, what we need to do here is head into this room where we meet some important characters. He seems to be the director of this facility, Professor Krane. We don't really have much idea of what this facility actually is yet, though. And this is Lily. Also, Battle Coach is in all capitals. Wonder if he actually has any Pokemon. And so, Lily is the player character's mother, and she also has a daughter. Jovi is the player character's sister. We'll be meeting her soon, unfortunately. So we have to go and find Jovi. Let's go ahead and do that. 5 years, that's actually how long has passed since the end of Colosseum. I will just say though, no knowledge of Colosseum's plot is required to play this game. It's pretty much self-contained, apart from a few references to 5 years ago. Oh, we also have a P-Star DA. That's returning from Colosseum. What does the star stand for, though? So, our destination is our room. Joint study on purification. Okay, so there were at least 2 people working on that. Whether that was Lily and Krane, or Krane and someone else is unknown. So they're working on something called the Purify Chamber. From that book, we should probably have a vague idea of what that entails. Also, this guy right here. He's not important now, but he will be later. He was playing hide-and-seek with Jovi. Unfortunately, she's ditched him, and he's stuck hiding under this table for the rest of the foreseeable future. Now, this is optional, but if we go into this room, we see a news broadcast. And the news station actually has a name now. So, this ship that we saw in the opening movie, Gayton Port is a location we haven't heard of before. No evidence of sinking, so yeah, the entire ship just vanished. Numerous Pokemon were on board. I wonder what organization would want a lot of Pokemon. Also, this Psyduck is kind of funny. Psyduck! Although I feel kind of bad for it, seeing that line. Okay, so we know of some place called the Krabby Club. Oh yeah, it totally had engine trouble. It totally didn't get airlifted by a giant, legendary Pokemon of Doom. Now that's kind of interesting, though. For now, though, let's just head downstairs. There's a few things we can do here, but I'm going to just talk to this lady first, because she says something kind of funny. Considering what your Pokemon is, yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that, but yeah, fandom stuff that you probably shouldn't look up. If you check here, though, this is something that's quite easy to miss. There's an empty space between the books. Unfortunately, we can't get that battle CD yet, but remember this for later. Also, it seems like there's some trophies here. Is she some kind of good trainer around these parts? What we actually want is this area. We'll just go in here to check a Plusle. No mining for it, though. Just like in Colosseum. And you don't have any new information about Jovi. But inside Seth's room, we see a sparkling item on the desk, but before I get that, I just want to grab this. 3 potions. Also, I wonder how you can even use that basketball hoop when there's a desk under it. But let's grab this now. The P-Star DA. I like pronouncing it that way. So we get an email, and unlike in Colosseum, the email will automatically open after you get it. So we have a psychically predictive email, and this hint is actually kind of annoying. While we have seen someone who was playing hide-and-seek with Jovi, we don't know his name is Aiden. That it makes sense to the protagonist, but to us, really all we have to go on is the person hiding under that desk. So let's go back and see him. Oh, I really pity this guy. So yeah, now we know this is Adon. Maybe she's gone off to a place called Dr. Kaminko's Manor. Couldn't have wandered off far, Mum says. Yeah. I am so sorry, but you're going to be stuck there for a little while longer. For now, though, I just want to check out the outside of this place. There's actually something kind of interesting you can do there that I didn't know about when I first played this game, and I only discovered it when I was just practicing recording this. Firstly, though, let's just check this guy. Back when I first played this, I didn't really realize just how deep Pokemon was, but I definitely do now. Types are nothing new, but abilities were actually new to Gen 3, so this was kind of a novel fact back then. So there's a Pineco here. But this guy, I'd forgotten that you could talk to this guy. And you can actually battle him. Normally your first battle will be somewhere else, but you can have your first battle here. So let's do it. A super trainer? Those were like the elite battle mode trainers in Colosseum. What do you have, Centrin? Yeah. You'll notice a few things immediately. Firstly, the overall starting levels of this game are a lot lower than in Colosseum. Like I said, the difficulty curve is more gradual, much like the main series games. Secondly, is that overall battles are a little bit faster than they used to be. Pokemon's flinching animations are shortened a little bit, the returning to Pokeball animations are a bit shortened too. I think the health bars decrease a little bit faster. So everything's a little bit sped up, and that's definitely a welcome change. Anyway, this Centrin is not much of a problem. Our Eevee already has a bit of experience, but that extra experience was not enough to get a level up. Oh, hi there, Eevee. Always worth doing every battle you can just for the experience, though. We can't battle him again immediately, though. I just want to check in here just so that I don't have to do it later. Let's talk to the receptionist. To find out what this place is, the Pokemon HQ Lab. They do research on ecosystems and battling. Don't know if they've always been here in the Orre region, or if they only sprung up recently. This guy's also working on something important. A special machine for catching Pokemon. And if we check this, it's a storage case. Huh, I wonder if that will be important later, hint hint. Also, this room is definitely going to be important later. Also, fourth wall breakage. Though the funny thing is that in the Japanese version, save has always been called report, and it's like writing a report on your adventure, so it's never actually been fourth wall breaking there. Also, we have a free PC and healing machine. Might as well use the healing machine because we were just in a battle. And also this guy. Assistant to purify shadow Pokemon. So, you might remember that from the last game, but they explain it here. And yeah, 5 years ago was when the previous Shadow incident happened with Cipher. Never say anything like that, ever! The moment that you tempt fate like that, something bad is going to happen. So anyway, let's leave and head out to Dr. Kaminko's manor, our only lead on finding Jovie. You might notice that the map is a little bit different here. It's more 3D than it was in Colosseum, and we're in a new area of Orre. Also, that is nowhere near as cool as Wes's hoverbike, just saying. So our first new destination is Dr. Kaminko's manor, with an ominous Groudon statue and a very Luigi's Mansion-esque aesthetic here, although a little bit darker. There's really not much for us to do here except head right up to the front door, where we will be interrupted. It's this guy. And he thinks we're a burglar. So, this is the #1 assistant to Dr. Kaminko. But he's only #1 by default. This bodes very well. He has Sunkern. It's #1, alright. #1 in, at this point in the Pokemon series, lowest base stat total of all time. So, yeah. This Sunkern usually takes 2 hits to go down. If you have a plus attack nature and get very lucky, you might be able to one-shot it, but I'm not sure. Eevee has fairly balanced stats all round. Also, Absorb looks a lot better in this game than it did in the last one. I love the way that little orb swirls around like that. But, yeah. One thing to just point out, though, in Gen 3, Tackle only has 95 accuracy. I think. It's not perfect, so you might miss with Tackle a few times. Just be aware of that. But we got a level up out of that. If you're doing a speedrun, you'd probably use that to try and guess your EV's IVs. Also, I like to let this defeat animation play out because it's pretty great. It reminds me of a certain someone in the beginning of Professor Layton vs. Ace Attorney. Also, I always pictured Chobin sounding kind of like Ricky from Xenoblade Chronicles. Cross between that and Forful. As weird as that sounds. Closer inspection reveals that subject is not a burglar. You think? Oh no, who could this be? Yep, it's Jovi. And she refers to herself in third person. I feel like this was a bit of a localization screw-up. In Japanese, it's considered common for children to refer to themselves in third person. Not so much in English, so yeah. Third person speech usually implies stupidity in English, so yeah. And she thinks we got lost. No, we were just looking for you. So she's obviously messing things up in there. And she bothers the doctor. But we are forcibly being given a tour here, so let's go in and oblige them. Huh. I wonder why they are #1 in the world. Let me guess. Of course, #1 in the world by default. There's someone else in that room other than Jovi. I guess he'll be important soon. Yes, any place where she is, bad stuff is happening. So, we should correct that right away. So, here's a readout on Dr. Kaminko's inventions. The unhealthy sandals. The insole is studded with lumpy nubs that fail to stimulate every pressure point in a fabulous way. Keep wearing these, and Chobin will guarantee painful feet and chronic worsening of your health. Chobin thinks this is superlative. That should give you a bit of an idea. Maybe it's a good thing that Jovi is bothering this guy. Also, there's a locked door here. That'll be a little bit important later. If you check the monitor, you can see some info on all of Kaminko's inventions. Now, I only want to show my personal favorites, so I'll just cut to those. This is one of my favorites, the time cut recorder. Unfortunately, a certain other Let's Player already made a joke about this, so Although, wouldn't that just cut off the end of the credits? This one I always found a bit weird, and I felt like it could have been a strange translation issue. It's a pole? So wait, does that mean it's just a solid lump of spherical metal painted red and white? Yeah, that also sounds really, really cruel if it's actually thrown at wild Pokemon. This one is my personal favorite though, the haunted radio. It's just like an ordinary radio until 2 in the morning, where you can hear a tiny voice. Please help me. Yeah. Sounds a lot like an Animal Crossing Easter egg, actually. Now let's just get Jovi out of here. But first, let's see this guy, and why is he here? Makan, who runs the part shop in Gayton Port. Again, we're hearing about this place, Gayton Port. And we know the professor needs a machine part. For now, though, let's just drag her away. It's called a blueprint, I think. No, not really, but anything to get you away from here. I think that's pronounced Mai because it's a Minun. And we get that jingle that you almost never hear in the series, because last time was only used when the partner in the first game joined us. Though, seeing his inventions, maybe it's a good idea if she visits again. Also, if you try and go through this door, that area is off limits. Obviously, we will get a chance to visit there eventually. Also, if we check here, what makes an invention a bringer of joy? You see no evidence of this book having been read. If we talk to Chobin again, we get some pretty funny dialogue. Yes, see, look how grating the third person gets here. I really think they should have just left that out. Unfortunately, she's just kind of like that. You see, as someone who's actually had a little sister in real life, I will just say, they are not always this annoying. Jovie just kind of is. Speaking of which, we now have a psychic email that's predicted us finding Jovie, so we need to go back to the HQ lab. Yes, Joy, you will totally be capable of protecting us. Let's just go. Back to the Pokemon HQ lab. I do like the nice touch that she's actually on the scooter during the travel animation, though. And our mother is here to greet us. Hi there. Please talk some sense into Jovie. She's not in this game for very long, don't worry. And she left him there for possibly hours, considering the travel time. He's probably screaming in pain right now. Everyone in this lab, I feel so bad for them having to deal with Jovie all the time. So Professor Krane wanted to see us. And she doesn't say anything new if we talk to her again. We also can't battle that guy again. Here's something that is actually kind of annoying. So, notice that room right there. Nobody's in there now. But if we go upstairs and go back to where Professor Krane used to be... he's not here. So he went downstairs. Now, logically speaking, unless he happened to be going around the other end of the lab the exact time we were back, we really should have bumped into him because he's in that room right now. That's kind of weird. But now we've seen him, let's go ahead and talk to him. The snag machine. Interesting. Well, firstly, we didn't know that guy was named Aiden, and secondly, he did describe this, but he never specifically called it the snag machine, so I'll just say no here. Well, hey, I'm always up for some Pokemon catching. So yeah, obviously developing a device that's meant for stealing trainers' Pokemon has a lot of risks involved. But they took some measures to make sure it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. Yeah, we saw them 5 years ago. Again, that is very, very ominous. But you know what that scientist said before? I mean, you know, a test can't compare to the real thing, so wouldn't it be just a totally nice coincidence if, I don't know, an actual Shadow Pokemon happened to attack us really, really soon? That's a cool cutscene, though. And we get the Shadow Monitor. Not that we really need it, because we haven't encountered any Shadow Pokemon. Or have we? Also, I like this too. Didn't get anything like that in Colosseum when you got a new feature added to your P-Star DA. Kinda wish you got animations like that for the Pokegear in Gold and Silver when you had new cards added. Yes, it will. If only a trainer with Shadow Pokemon would attack us right now, but there's no way that could possibly happen. No, instead we'll have to go to the Battle Sim room. Oh, and we also need Pokeballs. Good thing we got these, because we can't actually buy these yet. Wild Pokemon just aren't prevalent enough in here for Pokeballs to be marketable, I guess. Oh no! Something bad is happening right when we needed a tutorial for snagging. I wonder what it could be. So let's run out. There's actually something kind of fun you can do here. This isn't essential, but if you talk to this guy in this room... he dashes out. Also, this guy is, has some pretty funny dialogue. Here's a recommend saving. Now, you could heal now, but I'll just say it's not necessary at this point. Let's head outside. And, well, that doesn't look good. Oh no, the Pinecoat lost. How surprising. They're slightly different uniforms, but I think you should have a pretty good idea of who these people are if you played Colosseum. New lab, that doesn't sound good. I think he knows. Also, this guy. Yeah, the guy that we battled before. I think his name is only displayed here if you'd previously battled him. But also, this is interesting. This guy whacked right into somebody and got knocked to the ground. He, I don't believe, will be here if you didn't tell him to rush out before, so it's kind of a nice little... I don't really know if it's an Easter egg, but it's kind of a cool detail. So, we've got someone to battle here. And new music, so obviously, they're significant. Extreme close-up for some reason. Tedios is not exactly the most intimidating of Pokemon for a criminal to be using, though. Unless... it has an aura around it. That is a Shadow Pokemon. So, perfect way to test out our snag machine. Something interesting about this fight, though. The game will not allow you to do anything other than throw a Pokeball, so we can't use the fight or call commands. Also, when we throw a Pokeball, this is a 100% guaranteed catch. So, this entire fight is essentially scripted. There is no way to miss out on this Shadow Teddiursa. I like how the Pokeball actually appears in his hand. One, two, three. Teddiursa gets. Teddiursa will be everyone's first Shadow Pokemon guaranteed. Shadow Pokemon have changed quite a lot since Colosseum, but I'll be going over most of the differences when we get into actual battles with this Teddiursa. So those moves Shadow Blitz and Shadow Mist, I'll be explaining later. Anyway, for a Pokemon you get this early, Teddiursa is actually pretty good. Stat-wise, it's a slow, somewhat bulky physical attacker. When it evolves into Ursaring at level 30, it'll have a monstrous 130 base attack stat, and a pretty good 90 base HP. Its slow speed is not that much of an issue since it has the bulk to take a few hits. On its starting moveset, Teddiursa will regain Lick and Metal Claw as its heart gauge increases. Lick is surprisingly useful for catching Shadow Pokemon earlier in the game, thanks to its chance to paralyze. And Metal Claw is alright, I guess, mainly if you're facing a rock type and you have no other options. Purification is when Teddiursa gets really interesting though, as it regains Return, a move that gains power as you get more happiness, so it'll get stronger and stronger throughout the game. But even from the moment you first get Return, it's very powerful for early game standards, and it will serve you well for a long time. At maximum happiness, Return reaches a fairly amazing 102 base power, making it possibly the best normal move Teddiursa has. Not bad for something it starts with. The other move that it regains on Purification though is also very interesting. You might notice that I've highlighted it in gold in the text here. This is a new feature in Pokemon XD. When Shadow Pokemon are purified, they learn moves that their species would not normally be able to learn, ever. I'll be calling these XD exclusive moves. Now, most of the XD exclusive moves aren't that good, and Refresh sadly falls into that category. It cures yourself of poison, paralysis, or burn, but really you're better off using items to do that in single player. It's not worth wasting a move slot on. But making it an even worse option for Teddiursa is that upon evolution, Teddiursa gains the Guts ability, boosting its attack when it's affected by a status, meaning that curing status is actually a bad thing for it. We'll be seeing far better XD exclusive moves later. On Teddiursa, you're probably okay getting rid of Refresh, even though there's no way to ever relearn it. Now let's talk level up moves. Teddiursa gets a few interesting ones. Slash and Thrash are normal type options over Return if Return hasn't reached its full power yet, and Fake Tears is decent support for a special attacking teammate. Teddiursa also learns some pretty strong offensive moves by TM, like Brick Break and Earthquake. Just be careful of your partner when you use that one. You might notice an extra box out I've added to the bios. XD has Move Tutor moves, and I'll be explaining how they work once we get to them. But for Teddiursa, two decent tutor moves that it can learn are Body Slam, which is a decent normal option that also has a good chance of paralysis, helpful for catching sometimes, and Double Edge if you want severe power. Before evolution, Teddiursa also has the pickup ability, which lets it find items for you after battle, making it helpful to carry around on your team early on even if you aren't planning on using it in battle. Overall, for the first Shadow Pokemon you get, Teddiursa is very good. It's solid early on and remains a solid option later in the game. And because that was the only Pokemon, we don't get any experience from that because this is not Gen 6 where you get experience from catching Pokemon. So like I said, you cannot miss that Teddiursa. It's a guaranteed catch. Yeah, it makes sense for them to be pretty freaked out at a snack machine suddenly surfacing. Unfortunately, we were a little too late to save the professor from being carried away. In this weird hover truck thing. Which is admittedly kind of cool looking. And so, well, we got a Teddiursa out of it, but the professor is gone.